Notre Dame is the weenie of the week. And banning Ivan Leahy from the book signing was just the next big thing. Excuse me, Ivan myself. Canceling that book signing is just the next chapter. If it wasn't Pete Buvakwa getting up there and saying, we are sad and we are so upset that the ACC didn't champion us for a place in the college football playoff. Well, yeah, duh, because Notre Dame football's not in the ACC. And then Notre Dame was like, we're not going to play a bowl game because we don't want to, because we got left out of the bowl game that we wanted to play in. Bunch of weenies. And then now you're canceling this book signing because he sits on the college football playoff, and it's just the wound is too fresh. We couldn't possibly have a traitor at our bookstore who didn't put us in the CFP. Like, please, please, cry me a freaking river. You know what I want to hear? I want to hear Clark Lee at Vanderbilt saying, hey, we got left out because we have no one to blame but ourselves. We should have won more football games. We should have been better. We should have proven ourselves more. We like playing football here, so we're going to be playing in a bowl game. That's what I want to hear. That is a football coach right there. I love Clark Lee. I have nothing but respect for Clark Lee, and he only continues to prove why he's not a big fat weenie and why Notre Dame is. It's been nothing but whining and boohooing and crying instead of looking in the mirror and saying, well, we should have beaten Miami or Texas A&M. We should have done more ourselves. Just a bunch of weenies.
If you are going to run your mouth, you have to be prepared for the consequence of it, Notre Dame. And, look, if you're going to come out here and poke everybody, and that's what I think they've been doing ever since, and we all know that they declined the bowl bid, which I said on this show I had no problem with. But then they come out and they do a bowling event where they say, oh, we're going bowling. Like, they are out here
So
trolling everybody
lame.
actively. And guess what? At this point, the world is ready to clap back. And this is where it gets interesting because Dan Wolken tweeted this out in reaction to other athletic directors in the league. And this is there's an actively happening within leagues. Athletic directors are considering not scheduling Notre Dame after learning of Notre Dame's memorandum of understanding that grants the Irish preferential playoff access starting next year. Athletic directors in other leagues are threatening to freeze Notre Dame out of future schedules. So, what's all this mean? Well, Notre Dame it's now been revealed, has it in writing that after this year and future years, as long as they finish in the top 12, they can't be left out of the playoffs, no matter what. That's in writing. So they're assured of making the playoffs if it's ranked in the top 12. No other team in college football has that assurance. No other team anywhere. So when Wolken says everybody was shocked by this to a point that they're going to stop scheduling Notre Dame, this is the plot of the movie Ants. If anyone ever remembers the animated movie Ants, the whole point and purpose was it you got all these little ants by themselves that can't do anything. When they come together, they can do anything they put their minds to, right? That's what's happening in college football right now. We've spent years saying what's going to make Notre Dame join a conference. And many Notre Dame people, including close friends to me, have said nothing. We don't have to do that, right? Well, guess what? You do have to do that if the entire college football world looks around and says, join a conference or we won't play you. Nobody has to play Notre Dame. Nobody has to give in to Notre Dame. Nobody has to schedule Notre Dame. And if the entire college football playoff community simply decided that they wanted to take down the holier-than-thou approach of Notre Dame by getting themselves locked into the playoffs no matter what, if the entire college football community wanted to stand up to Notre Dame and say, that's enough, they can. They could. They should, Caroline. I want this to happen. If I want one or two things. Either never bother me again, even a single time, about the fact that they're not in a conference, or force them to join one. Because what really was eye-opening about all of this is that they can be forced to join one. Not by me, not by you, not by the College Football Playoff Committee, by every school in the country simply not returning their phone call.
Yeah, it does sound like, with Notre Dame saying, well, we have to be in the college football playoff if we're ranked in the top 12. It's so like my super sweet 16 energy. Like the 16-year-old girl who's the daughter of rich parents stomps her foot and says, I wanted a pink Range Rover, not a purple one. It sounds so spoiled. Rules for thee, but not for me. The Notre Dame wants all of these exceptions. And I think what I'm learning more and more in this new era of college football is conference equals protection. in so many different ways. If you're a member of the SEC, you have a certain financial protection of being part of the Southeastern Conference. You are guaranteed the TV revenue share that's going to come from a very lucrative television contract with ESPN. Same thing with the Big Ten. You are protected from the Big Ten TV rights. If you're a member of the ACC, you don't feel that same level of protection. If you're a member of the SEC or the Big Ten, you're going to have a certain level of protection for the level that your schedule is going to be, that you feel like, okay, our conference is deep enough and competitive enough that we are going to have a certain level of quote unquote protection when it comes to college football playoff time. We're going to get a certain benefit of the doubt that maybe an ACC school doesn't get. That's exactly what we've seen from this year's college football playoff. Notre Dame doesn't have that same kind of protection. Although I don't see this coming to fruition. I really don't, because what would have to happen is all members of the Big Ten and the SEC and the ACC and the Big 12 would have to come together and say, okay, we agree. We are bounding together to say we are not going to schedule Notre Dame. I just don't see that happening. You're going to tell USC to not schedule Notre Dame? Like, you're going to tell Louisville, who probably got a fat check from playing Notre Dame on Peacock, that they can't get that money? Like, you mean to tell me that every single Power Four school across America is going to say, we're not going to schedule Notre Dame, even though you know there's going to be eyes on it, even though you know it's going to be lucrative, even though you know it's going to be a massive boost for your resume? We talked about Texas A&M being a different team after they beat Notre Dame. It was like, okay, Texas A&M, you squarely have our attention. So I don't think that that's ultimately going to come to fruition. I don't think that you can get all of these schools to agree on anything, much less scheduling Notre Dame and the eyeballs and the money that would come from it.
I agree, but I think that's all short sighted. Like you're talking, if we're being real, I see the stat here: 23% of the ACC games sell out. When Notre Dame visits, it's 90% of the time. I get all that. You would have to be willing to take a short term loss for the next 2 years. It would take 2 years. If literally every college football team in the country, this is where everybody says they won't. We've watched college football. We've watched sport programs, franchises in every sport collude against people all the time to get their way in collective bargaining. And we keep sitting here constantly saying, hey, the future of college football is going to be collectively bargained. Well, this is where you got to get a little ahead of it, right? And to your point, will they take the short-term hit? Probably not. But if you're not going to take the short-term hit, then never complain about it again. Like you can actually change this. If your complaint is Notre Dame shouldn't be a lock to get into the playoffs if they finish in the top 12, you have nobody to blame for but yourself if you allow Notre Dame to play other teams. So at some point, I hear you, but really, what would it take? 1 year, 2 years, max, before Notre Dame literally didn't have a major Power Four opponent before they would have to turn around and then decide which conference they're going to join, which ultimately becomes good for everybody. So it would take literally every school banding together. And I hear you that the money would be a tough pill to swallow. I think it would be temporary enough that it's worth the long-term gain. Because once you set the precedent of Notre Dame being guaranteed in the college football playoff, getting that taken away is going to be really difficult to do. It's like taxes. They raise them. They rarely give them back to you after they've taken your money. So to me, you got to just stand together as a group of college football institutions and say, we don't like this. We don't think that they should have this opportunity. We don't think they should be guaranteed a spot in the college football playoff. So if they're guaranteed a college football, guaranteed spot as long as they finish in the top 12, if that contract remains, none of us will play them. That is actually impacting and affecting what your future looks like in the entire sport. So I hear you. They probably won't do it. But if you're not willing to do it, then don't ask me to give a damn about it when it impacts your favorite school.
I think about it too, though, and I'm with you. I think this is ridiculous to guarantee Notre Dame something that you're not going to guarantee any other team in America is shameful, and it just shows how broken the system truly is. But let's say Notre Dame doesn't have a single Power Four opponent on their schedule. They'll probably go 12-0, and they will probably be a top 12 team regardless. Like, the reason why Notre Dame isn't in the college football playoff is because they lost to a team that had the same record. Like, ultimately, that's what it came down to. They lost to A&M, they lost to Miami. Miami was 10-2 as well, so Miami gets the edge over Notre Dame. It's not because they didn't have it is partly because they didn't have a strong rest of their schedule, but ultimately it came down to Notre Dame or Miami, head to head, Miami gets in. But if Notre Dame plays, South Harmon Institute of Technology 12 weeks of the year, they're probably going to beat South Harmon Institute of Technology 12 weeks out of the year, which would then probably put them in the playoffs.
if their best win this year, if their best game this year had been against Nashville Auto Diesel College, I don't think they're making the top 12. And that's where, again, I'm an empowerment agent at this point. So if I'm Alabama, I'm looking, if I'm the SEC, every single SEC Big Ten, we all know that they control college football. I'm looking at every single SEC and Big Ten school, and I'm going to every one of those schools, and I'm saying, hey, don't schedule Notre Dame. We're no longer going to play Notre Dame. I'll include all the Power Fours in this, right? I'll say every Power Four says we won't schedule Notre Dame. And then the next thing they say is, if you choose to schedule Notre Dame to the group of five, if you choose to schedule Notre Dame, we won't allow you to join our conference or play against our conference for the next 10 years. Like, again, these are things that I know none of us think this will happen, but the Power Four could control Notre Dame. There is no one school that is more powerful than all of the rest of them. So I totally agree that they could still bank 12 wins against the Mountain West. But if the Mountain West schools find out that they're not going to get to schedule a single other Power Four school through the entire time, and they won't be able to join that conference no matter what happens, you think UNLV would hesitate to play Notre Dame then? I do.
This is just also ridiculous. Like, we are talking about four conferences colluding against Notre Dame and colluding against any other team in America that even thinks about playing Notre Dame. Like, how in the world did we get here? The onus is not on the SEC and the ACC and the Big Ten and the Big 12 and the Mountain West and the American, and insert whatever
Fair.
conference you want here. This is on the College Football Playoff Committee. This is embarrassing that we're even talking about concessions being made for Notre Dame. Like, this is ridiculous that it would get to this point. San Diego State, you want to schedule Notre Dame? That means you're not getting in the Big 12 for the next decade. Like, seriously? That is so immature and ridiculous. This is like, you can't sit with us at lunch because you played with so and so on the playground. That's literally what this sounds. We sound like a bunch of children. This is a multi-billion-dollar business. Do better.